tonight on Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
Fake by May. He's going to run it to the left. He's being chased. Tries to get outside. He does! He's got the first down!
For the 12th time, the New England Patriots are headed back to the Super Bowl. And it was Drake May using his legs to find a way to win. The Mile High Showdown. How the Patriots' strategy led to their first ever playoff victory in Denver. And the key decisions that took the Patriots from 4 wins to Super Bowl 60.
Patriots Unfiltered on TV is brought to you by Toyota's official website for deals.
Warriors! Come out and play!
And play they did. The Patriots complete the greatest turnaround in NFL history and earn a spot in America's greatest spectacle, the Super Bowl. We all know the rich history of Boston sports, and we've been blessed with a number of the greatest players to have ever played the games. But there's no team that can ever match what this Patriots team has just accomplished. Hello again, everyone. I'm Alex Francisco, and this is Patriots Unfiltered on TV. Super Bowl bound. The Patriots will be playing in a record 12th Super Bowl in Santa Clara, California on February 8th. And it will be a rematch of one of the most memorable games ever played. Can you say Malcolm Butler? Let's huddle up with Paul Perillo and Mike Dussault. It took something that no Patriots team has done before, but they went into Mile High Stadium, beat the Broncos, and left as AFC champions. In a season with so many firsts for this franchise, they also did something no other team in the NFL has done, 9-0 on the road. We're going to start with Paul.
Okay.
Because I need to know how he feels. He's not going to be able to tease Deuce and I much longer. How does it feel to be going back to a Super Bowl?
The number one thing, I mean, obviously, I'm excited for all Patriots fans, but I'm really excited for Evan Lazar, for Mike Dussault, and for Alexandra Francisco for making their maiden voyages to the Super Bowl. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of work ahead of us, and we'll get to that in due time. But I am still, Alex, to answer the original part of this question, I'm still stunned that the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl in a year coming off of back-to-back 4-win seasons. 1 year into the Mike Vrabel era, I'm still sort of amazed by the whole turnaround.
I'm not even sure when I saw it actually coming or even to be a possibility. They had that 10-game win streak during the season, and you're like, wow, this is great. They're winning a lot of games. And even going back to the summer, you never would have predicted that this would have been the team that got back to the Super Bowl. But sometimes it all just lines up. The team plays well when the game's on the line. It wasn't perfect out there in Denver, but they made the plays they had to win the game.
Can we just talk about the 9-0 on the road? We didn't even have 9 wins at all last season. And I just think that's so difficult to do, no matter what team you are, no matter how much talent is on your roster.
That's what's special about this team, and that's something that makes them stand out. Mike Vrabel keeps bringing up that Week 2 win in Miami. Going down there, I think the team proved a lot to him. I think they learned a lot about themselves in that game. And even though they lost the next week to Pittsburgh, I think they used that game as a springboard into this successful season.
So much of the offense has been Drake May and the passing game, and you really haven't had that in these 3 postseason games. You certainly didn't have it in Denver, but yet, you know, they find a way to do just enough. You know, they move the ball at the start of the third quarter. They get the go-ahead field goal, and then they just played sort of smart, made sure they didn't turn the ball over. Their ability to find different ways to win games has been very impressive as well.
Jared Stidham's kind of rolling at the beginning, but then Sean Payton decides to go for it. You know, at the time, I think there was a lot of narrative of like, oh, is this going to cost them down the road? But you didn't know. It ended up really costing them.
I remember Bill Belichick talking about when does the game declare itself and when do you understand, you know, that points are going to be at a premium. And I heard what Sean Payton said afterwards. I understand he wanted that 14-0 lead, and he felt like they could pick up that yard. The Patriots defense got the stop, and in retrospect, that was a huge play and really a bad decision.
The game hadn't really yet declared, but you kind of had a feeling, you know, if you can get a lead here, the Patriots hadn't really been in that situation in the postseason where they've been chasing. So if you could get a 2-score lead, to me, that would have been the move to make. But let's just not gloss over how well the Patriots played that 4th down snap. I thought that they had the rollout they were ready for up front. I thought they had, immediate penetration. I thought Milton Williams was Milton Williams, as he has been so many times during the course of the season. And then, Jelani Tavai is underneath, Craig Woodson's underneath. There was nowhere to go for Jarrett Stidham.
To your point, quote from Sean Payton in an ESPN story by Seth Wickersham over the weekend, "I wish I stayed with the initial play call. The look they showed on film and the look we saw wasn't the look we got." That quote specifically just speaks to me more than anything else how good of a job Zach Core has done. They've given up 26 points in the playoffs.
That's a great example of him dialing up different coverages, switching things up, keeping the offense on their heels, not knowing exactly what's going to come, choosing the right times to be aggressive, choosing the right times to back off. So he's been pushing all the right buttons, and this defense has really just been playing all together as one, and it's something to see.
In the 3 playoff wins, it's been the defense. When you can win games in different ways, that's a formula for success, and the game's not going to probably unfold in Santa Clara the way that the weather has impacted the games, in the AFC playoffs. So I think that there's the Patriots have a lot of different ways now that they should feel confident in.
The defensive line's been really good all year. This was one of the first times where they're going up against a Broncos offensive line that's touted as one of the best in the league. How do you think they fared?
Really well. I mean, I thought Christian Barmore, especially, going against Quinn Miners, who, is a Pro Bowl right guard there for the Broncos. Excellent player, 2 excellent tackles as well. But really, it was up the middle, and I think that's what a lot of people have been pointing to this NFL playoffs is the successful defenses are really getting consistent disruption from interior players like Milton Williams, who again was all over the place, and Christian Barmore, who is just a wrecking ball inside.
Yeah, they took advantage of a quarterback who hasn't played in 7 years. And I do think that Milton Williams and Christian Barmore in particular, Mike pointed those 2 guys out. I thought they were, again, outstanding. And they've owned the line of scrimmage in all 3 of these games, and that's a great formula for success.
And then only touchdown of the game, really, for the Patriots, set up by a turnover forced by Christian Ellis.
Huge play.
Obviously, the offense has to be better. You can't blame the first half only on snow, right? They hadn't really started snowing at that point, but I don't know. What have defenses been able to do to really just contain this Patriots offense?
Guys have trouble getting open against a really good defense like this that plays really good man coverage. There weren't a lot of places for Drake May to go, and it started to snowball on them a little bit. I thought, there were plays at times to be made, but I think Drake ultimately did the right thing. They stayed clean on the turnover sheet. They also forced that 4th down stop that we talked about. So really -3 for the Broncos in the turnover department. That was the big difference to me, but no question, it's been a real struggle for the Patriots offense, and it seems almost like week by week it's getting tougher and tougher.
The difference in this game between the previous 2 is they didn't put the ball in harm's way. They were able to mitigate the mistakes. They had some negative plays, 5 sacks. I think there was a number of runs for a loss. They're backed up in their own goal line, and Ramondre slips. Drake then sort of slips down in the turf, and they take a loss there, but they didn't lose the ball.
Drake looked a little off in some points. Some balls were really low. Do you think that's what it was? Just really feeling the pressure, get the footing?
We've seen MVP moments from Drake May, but we haven't seen that MVP caliber completing 72% of his passes. They've dried up, and give credit to these defenses he's been playing. But guess what? You've got another great defense that you're going to go against in the Super Bowl.
Mac Hollins' return. We're talking about those little MVP flashes from Drake. I think some of that play he made to Mac on the flea flicker, that was huge. But his return, I mean, the guy walks in barefoot, banging glass bottles on his fingers, and then just the play on the field. That's really all. He's the only reason they were really able to move the ball was his reception.
The flea flicker was what it was. But the 20-yard pass earlier, I thought, was really the first real positive play the Patriots made on offense. It was converted to 3rd down. He gets open. He kind of sits in that little pocket there, gives Drake an outlet. It was 3rd and 9, I think, for 20 yards. Yeah. Big play in the game.
Obviously the completion percentage is down, but he's been able to really make some plays happen on his legs.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you take relief in seeing that and knowing that they just faced a gauntlet of defenses and maybe warmer weather, they can get back to what we've seen all regular season from them in the passing offense?
This is the best defense that they're going to face.
Yes, and look, I like Josh McDaniels, his experience playing in a big game. The Rams know the Seahawks really well. They did put up, almost 500 yards offense on them. So, I do think there are opportunities, but at the same time, it starts with the Patriots. They've got to be better. Starts up front.
Maybe the biggest play of the game was that game of inches, right? That tip field goal attempt. Leonard Taylor signed off the Jets practice squad to me, that just really symbolizes what this team is all about.
The Patriots are, ready to obviously, go out there and try to block the field goal. But the Broncos, the details.
Mm-hmm.
They supposedly, according to, Will Lutz and the holder, they weren't properly 8 yards back. They were only 7 yards back. They said they couldn't see the lines. Now, I find that awfully difficult to believe. I would think if I was a kicker, I would know 8 yards just by looking at it, no matter where I was.
Did walk that back a little, but you're right.
They were only 7 yards back, and you can see it when you watch the replay. They're too close. And Alex, you mentioned game of inches. Well, you're a yard too close. The ball just gets tipped and it gets knocked off flight, and then you ultimately go home. So those little details, I think that's where the Patriots win these games on the margin sometimes, and Mike Vrabel and his staff have been on it.
Still to come on Patriots Unfiltered on TV. Putting together a Super Bowl roster, the key moves that took the Patriots from last to the top of the AFC. Evan Lazar breaks down one of the key plays in the win over the Broncos. Why does the Patriots offense seem to be stuck in neutral? Trash Talk debates just what they need to get back into regular season form.
Patriots Unfiltered on TV is brought to you by Cross Insurance, official insurance broker of the New England Patriots, and by Sports Illustrated Tickets. 50 million sports concerts and theater tickets, 0 fees. Fans deserve better. Visit sitickets.com today.
You're watching Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
What's up, everybody? It's Evan Lazar. It's the Unfiltered Film Room. Patriots going back to the Super Bowl with this big win in Denver that we're going to break down right here with Drake May. And I really like this throw from Drake May because it looked a lot like the quarterback we saw in the regular season on third down. And what we have here at the top of the screen, I'm going to call it dagger. I'm not sure what they call it, but let's call it that. So you just have this inside seam route there by Stephon Diggs with the big dig route or the in cut up there to Matt Collins, and you just have this vertical at the bottom of the screen. And if we pause it right there for a second, what Drake May is doing is he's looking off this safety right here in the middle of the field. So he starts at the bottom of the screen with his eyes down here, and he's trying to move Hufanga right there to keep him out of this dig window to Matt Collins coming across the field. So he's going to move the safety with his eyes and his drop, and if we roll it again, he's going to hit Matt Collins, and look at that ball placement, throwing that ball away from the safety. So we need to see a little bit more of that from Drake May in a couple weeks in Seattle, against Seattle in the Super Bowl, but there's plenty of things on that film that are promising from the Patriots quarterback. I'm Evan Lazar.
The Patriots are in the midst of the greatest turnaround in NFL history. From 4 wins in 2 consecutive seasons to 17. Paul and Deuce. Obviously, Drake May has had an immense part of that turnaround, but it hasn't all been him. Both sides of the ball, all 3 phases, moves have been made to get this team ready for this season. How did we get here? And I guess let's start with the offseason moves.
Yeah. Let's start with Milton Williams. I think he was the key piece of the offseason, and it really paid off.
Yeah.
The guy who came in didn't have a huge role on the Eagles. You're wondering, oh, he's a rotational piece, but man, he has come in and been everything they would expect, got that championship pedigree. He's so disruptive. He blows runs up in the backfield. There's been so many times this year, even going back to this game against the Broncos, where the running back gets the ball and the guard is already in his lap because Milton Williams has just got him on skates going backwards.
Williams has been the key guy. I would just back it up a little bit to Vrabel himself, because I keep hearing these comments from different players that he's brought in. He's changed my career. He's given me the confidence. I never played for a guy that has done X, Y, Z. If you've watched this team, it is so clear that they're so connected, and it has been that way. Mike, you brought up in the opening segment about that Miami win. It's been that way. They got the belief right there, and it's never wavered, and that stems from Vrabel. That's not an easy thing to do. So the offseason started with that. He created the culture, and then he brought in all these players. I think Milton Williams is a great one to start, but Carlton Davis, Robert Spillane, Morgan Moses, Harold Landry. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Stephon Diggs, Mac Hollins. I mean, really, name a guy they brought in, Kyrus Tonga, that didn't really have a significant impact. They hit on almost every offseason move they made. That's why they're here.
And you can spend as much money in the offseason as you want, but I think hitting in the draft is just so important. And Tell me if there's a team in the NFL that has had a better rookie class with more contributors than the Patriots.
They've had contributions from virtually every guy they drafted. Long snapper, kicker, both have been, rock solid. The second round running back in the middle of the season was as dangerous as any offensive player in football, for a little stretch. I think it's been a really good, solid draft class. Everything that they did worked. Yeah. Everything. And that's the rare part. You can have a really good draft class and have one or two really good players. They've gotten contributions from virtually every guy.
I just highlight Craig Woodson, too, as a rookie who really unexpected, coming in, playing almost every snap. I think he's been outstanding here in the playoffs.
Getting better, it seems like. I've noticed him more the last couple of games than I noticed him all year.
Yeah. He was always so active and around the ball, but now those plays are kind of coming to fruition. He gets his first interception last week, and then another
tackles in the backfield. I mean, he plays all over the place.
Good tackler.
Really positive sign going forward. That's a spot. Jalen Hawkins will be a free agent, but Craig Woodson could be a guy to build around.
I know, recency bias, the offensive line hasn't been playing as great as we've seen at many times throughout the season, but that's still an area where you had to really rebuild and start from scratch.
This year, I think they got back to a serviceable level. I think they were pretty good this year, but I still think they have a ways to go. And I think as we've gotten in the playoffs, you start to see some of the challenges that these great defenses are going to present when you're starting two rookies on the left side of your line.
Yeah.
They've been exposed a little bit. It's been hard to come by, and now they're going to have to play Seattle. Those guys are going to have to be better if the Patriots want to have a chance.
I rattled off a lot of free agents, and I didn't mention Garrett Bradbury, and I should have. He's another one, in this particular group. You had Morgan Moses, who gets a lot of credit for being the leader, and rightly so.
Does.
I think he's excellent at it. But Bradbury's solidified the middle of that line, and he's been really good. The two kids on the outside have struggled in the postseason, but this experience will be really good for them, and they'll have gone through it, and they'll get better from it.
Credit for every move from the moment they hired Mike Vrabel on. It's been positive.
And coming up on Patriots Unfiltered on TV, in Trash Talk, fixing the offense.
Patriots Unfiltered on TV is brought to you by Cross Insurance, official insurance broker of the New England Patriots, and by Sports Illustrated Tickets, 50 million sports, concerts, and theater tickets. Same seats, better prices. Fans deserve better.
You're watching Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
No team has scored more points in the AFC than the New England Patriots. Drake May led the conference in touchdown passes, and the Patriots were in the top 5 in rushing scores. But the well-oiled offense has been stumbling in the playoffs. Is it just because of the defenses they're facing, or have they hit a wall? In Trash Talk, Paul and Deuce debate how to get the offense back on track.
All right, don't worry, everyone. Paul and I are here to fix the Patriots offense. Yes, it hasn't been great here through 3 playoff games despite 3 Patriots playoff wins. And Paul, I'm not quite sure where to start. I'm going to start with the easiest place. The weather's going to be a little bit warmer, I think, in Santa Clara. I think that bodes well. I'm not going to put all of their struggles on the weather, but certainly end of that Denver game, parts of that Texans game, they were impacted by snow. So hopefully a little bit of a warm-up can at least serve Drake May a little bit to set the table, perhaps, for some better play. Maybe it starts up front with the offensive line, though.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to start with. And I agree with you. That all 3 playoff games were not played in great weather, and that shouldn't be an issue in the Super Bowl, but it won't matter if it doesn't get better up front. 5 sacks, I think, in each of the 3 games is far too many. And I know Drake May's mobility sort of adds to that sack total at times, but I think he also avoids some with his escapability and his ability to use his legs to get out of the pocket. So that's where it has to start for me. That left side of the line, the 2 rookies, Wilson and Campbell, need to be better.
I don't want to put it on any of his weapons, Paul, but it's just a simple fact that they haven't been productive, and a lot of guys haven't been able to get open. I feel like teams continue to key on Stephon Diggs. They've got to find other outlets, maybe Ramondre Stevenson. That's something we saw a little bit with the Rams. Running backs catching balls out of the backfield on the Seattle defense. Maybe that's a route to get things going.
I watched the Rams and Seahawks, and the Rams offense was dominant, throughout the game. And you're like, wow, this defense doesn't look that formidable. But I always try to take a step back. That's the 3rd time that those teams have played. The Rams offense has been pretty good in 2 of those 3 games. Contrast that to when the 3 times that the Seahawks played the 49ers, they completely shut down San Francisco all 3 times. So a lot of times, Mike, those mean to me matchups.
Yeah.
The team, there's a matchup that works for you in the case of San Francisco, and there's a matchup that doesn't necessarily work for you in the case of the Rams. We'll see where the Patriots fit. It's got to start with May, too, Mike. He's got to be better. You made the point about that they haven't done a great job of getting open. I would agree with that, which puts the degree of difficulty up. But I don't think Drake has been quite as sharp at times with some of his passes as he was during the regular season. So he needs to be better, too.
Well, we'll see if the Patriots can get back on schedule offensively here. They got 2 weeks before they have to play the Seahawks in Super Bowl 60. We'll see what happens, and stay tuned after the break. We'll share our favorite plays from this exciting season.
Now back to Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
Usually this is the point in the show where we all give our predictions for the game ahead. But
Pats win.
Pats win.
Sorry, that's next week.
We're getting ahead of ourselves because we have 2 weeks to prepare for this game. So instead, let's use this time to reflect on a truly incredible season. But guys, I just want to hear from you. What play stands out in your mind when you think about this spectacular, wonderful ride that we have all been on?
I'm going to go with Milton Williams' game-sealing sack down in Miami. Patriots started 0-1, then they had to go to Miami. Really tough place to play. Really staring down the barrel of an easy 0-2 start. And Milton Williams came through with a big stop on that final drive. Felt like the first big play of this season. And Mike Vrabel's pointed back to that a lot. We pointed back to that a lot. I'm going to go to that particular moment. It felt like that was the moment the Patriots team kind of came together and really used that as a platform to where they are now.
The game in Buffalo, that's the game that I found out that this team is significantly better than it was last year. Drake May rolling out on a dead run to the right and throwing a ball, 35 yards on a dime to Stephon Diggs on the sideline. The behind, the rear angle of that play is just ridiculous.
Mine's much more recent. Maybe it's recency bias, but divisional round, the Houston Texans, snow is falling down, and Kayshon Boutte makes a 32-yard one-handed grab into the pylon. I've never seen anything like that. The photos were so cool. The snow, the one hand, it was so crucial to advance, and just everything Boutte's experienced this season and the elevation in his play, it was just like chef's kiss for me. All right, that's going to be it for this very special AFC Championship edition of Patriots Unfiltered on TV. As always, you can catch the three of us on Patriots Unfiltered on Patriots.com every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from noon to 2 p.m. For Paul Perillo and Mike Dussault, I'm Alex Francisco, and we'll see you next week.